Jack Davis Jr. was found dead in an exterior Indiana University of Pennsylvania stairwell of unrevealed circumstances on Wednesday, October 21st, 1987. He had last been seen the previous Friday night attending a party with his fraternity brothers. Authorities believed that Jack had died accidentally. They theorized that he went to the stairwell to urinate. Due to his state of intoxication, he passed out and vomited, inhaling the vomit in his lungs. The original pathologist also ruled the death as an accident, determining that he died early Saturday morning. However, his family was not convinced of the official scenario. 2 years later, a friend told them to contact pathologist Dr. Cyril Wecht to help with the case. Dr. Wecht was puzzled by the fact that nobody could see his body for the days that he had been in the stairwell. He also did not understand why Jack chose to urinate in a certain place where he was found. He believes that Jack, in an inebriated state, would have not gone to such great lengths to conceal himself while urinating. According to the original report, there was no alcohol in his blood, even though he was supposedly drinking heavily on the night of his death. Wecht also found another discrepancy. Jack was clean shaven on Friday night, but was found dead with heavy stubble on his face. The evidence seemed to suggest that he had died later than Saturday morning. Wecht also found that the cause of death, choking on regurgitated food, was impossible because food particles was not found in his lungs. Also, Wecht found that the pathologist who completed the autopsy had not opened his skull. Jack's body was exhumed for another autopsy. Wecht found 3 areas of fracture in the cranial fold of Jack's skull. He determined that the fractures were the cause of death, not choking on vomit. Wecht then visited the stairwell where Jack was found. He did not believe that Jack had fallen or been thrown to his death. He also believed that it was impossible for somebody not to have seen Jack's body lying in the stairwell because there was clear views from the window. Also, Jack's body and clothing were not wet, despite the fact that it had been raining heavily in the days prior. Dr. Wecht believed that Jack died or was injured elsewhere before being placed in the stairwell. Dr. Wecht's findings convinced authorities to reopen the case in October of 1990. However, little new evidence was uncovered and the case was closed again. And authorities still believe that Jack's death was accidental. Wecht hopes that the new information will come forward and that somebody from the college will bring this information to police. Reporter Marlene Brennan believes that Jack's death may have been a result of a feud between 2 fraternities. According to several witnesses, there were at least 5 fights on campus on the night of Jack's death. Marlene believes that he was involved in a fight on the night of his death and was injured. She also believes that he was held somewhere and that the people thought he was going to be better. However, when he succumbed to his injuries, he was placed in the stairwell. Silvia Holzclaw, James Barnes and Margaret Barnes. On Friday, May the 16th, 2003, bank teller Silvia Holzclaw was the only bank teller at Blue Ridge Savings Bank when customers James and Margaret Barnes entered. Unfortunately, they weren't alone for long. The panic alarm was pressed by Holzclaw at 1:30 PM, which signalled police of a burglary in progress at the bank. The police arrived to find Silvia, James and Margaret dead by gunshot wounds. Authorities believed that the motive was robbery and immediately investigated the case. Despite their best efforts, the senseless murders of the 3 people are still unsolved. A witness saw an unidentified man at the bank shortly before the robbery and murders. He was described as 5'6" to 5'8", around 230 pounds, 50 to 53 years old, and had short blonde hair. A red car fled from the bank after the murders and was never identified. A convicted bank robber named Emerson Wright is considered a suspect in this case. A few weeks before the murders, he stole a red Alero from a rental car company nearby. A similar car was seen on surveillance video shortly before and after the murders. Wright used a .40 caliber Glock in several of his crimes. This same type of weapon was used in the murders. However, Wright committed suicide in 2005 after fleeing from police. He was never charged in the case. Some have speculated a connection between this case and the Superbike Motorsports murders, which occurred just 30 miles away in November 2003. Todd Colehep has recently confessed to the Superbike murders and has been formally charged with 4 murders. However, he has not yet been connected to the Blue Ridge Savings murders. This case still remains unsolved. 26-year-old Matthew Donald Flores was a successful military officer starting a job at Applied Materials Inc. in the Silicon Valley with his wife of 4 years, Denise, and newborn daughter, Danielle. On March the 24th, 1994, on his 9th day at his job, he arrived at work at around 8:12 AM and parked his car, a white Chevy Corisco, that his bosses had rented for him. He was then murdered, execution style, by an unknown party as he got out of his car and was found by a woman sitting in a car nearby. Amazingly, despite a total of 20 people in the parking lot at the time, not one person saw Matt's killer. Authorities found that Matt had no known enemies and no reason to have been killed. Police were at a standstill when they learned that his murder occurred in a security camera's blind spot. However, the camera did give the police their most significant lead. The footage shows an unidentified 2-door Ford Explorer entering the parking lot 20 minutes before the shooting. A few seconds later, a 2-door Ford Probe, similar to Matt's, was followed by the Ford Explorer. A few minutes later, the Explorer exited the parking lot. Then 3 minutes before the shooting, the Explorer re-entered the parking lot and went into the direction of where the shooting occurred. At 8:12 AM, 2 minutes before the shooting, Matt and the female eyewitness entered the parking lot. At 8:14 AM, the murder took place, just out of camera range. Approximately 20 seconds later, the Ford Explorer left the parking lot, never to be seen again. Investigators believe, based on the tape, that the driver of the Ford Explorer was stalking Matt that morning. They believe that he was a victim of mistaken identity and that the driver of the car was planning on killing a man driving the same type as his. The killer has never been identified and the case remains unsolved. A $100,000 reward is being offered in this case. The car that the police are looking for is a 2-door sport model Ford Explorer manufactured between 1991 and 1994. It has a distinctive black trim on its lower panels. The colour is not black, white, dark green or dark blue. Investigators suspect that his murder may have been a case of mistaken identity. They have also looked into several theories, including that he was killed as a result of a road rage incident and that his death was related to his job. They looked into the possibility that his murder was related to the death of Sergeant Nicholas Gangi, who served under Matt while in the military. Gangi mysteriously vanished in April of 1993 and was later found dead under suspicious circumstances. However, no evidence has been found to substantiate these theories.